Good morning, everyone. Quite a special day. We are announcing something which is at the intersection of AI and DAOs in the next 10 minutes as well. But I'm just going to set some context for whatever we have built here. I'm Vikram. I'm the co-founder and CEO of DaoLens. And DaoLens for you, in one simple statement, is a group of people who work with communities to build hyper custom solutions. We package it as a part of our offering only if it aligns with the broader group of people that we work with. Otherwise, we have solutions built for communities that are so specific that it doesn't probably even show up on our website. Today, we are going to talk about the broader range of solutions that are available for anyone out there who comes to our website to leverage. And when we chat with you, you'll realize that there is way more that we could offer. So those are conversations that can only happen one-on-one. Awesome. So we have 10 minutes to close this. Community operations today are a chaotic jungle. What I mean by that is just reflect on how things happen. The number of tools that you use, you have discussions happening in Discord. There is a forum. So if there is some alignment, you move it over to discourse. From that, you go into, hey, we are a DAO, we need to have voting, so there is a proposal that gets floated. If that proposal passes through, you have tasks, bounties, grants, whatsoever come in. Now that is happening on a different tool, whether it is Trello board, it's Dwork, whatsoever. Because there are tasks, there are going to be submissions. Those submissions need reviewers. Once a review is done, you have payouts. Once you pay out, you have NFTs, reputation, and whatnot. We dealt with probably 7 or 8 tools, and that's just one DAO. As a contributor, I don't know of people who work for only one community, which means you're probably dealing with 15, 20 instances of tools just for 2 to 3 communities that you are a part of. We are trying to solve that. That is what I mean by a chaotic jungle of tools. So you absolutely have no context. You see this task in Dwork, it has a title and a description, but what do we know? There are probably 15 people who have commented on it. There's a discussion that has been going on in a forum behind which there was a proposal which led to creation of that task. There's always this lack of context. A proposal, but why did that proposal even come in? What is the original story? What were people really in the community talking about? There's so much of noise, you have stuff all over. See, at DaoLens, we are working to design how Web3 communities should operate. What that essentially translates to is that future of communities should have one platform for all operations. It's okay that there are these different tools that are optimized. Hey, payout is better done on Gnosis. Sure, payout is better done on Gnosis, but it's a real pain leaving a tool, claiming a task here, knowing that the task has been approved, and then going somewhere else and proving that, hey, we did a submission, and could you please get paid out? Future of communities should have no noise and all context. I just laid out the example, which is hey, instant access to information, which is super personalized for me. It tells me what is relevant to me. Discord is so noisy. I don't even know how many dots and icons and numbers I see when I open my Discord. It just creates this sense of anxiety in you. Future of communities should have cross-DAO insights. This is something which nobody really talks about. It's okay for a DAO to think that the world starts and ends where the Discord starts and where the conversations end. But for a contributor, I'm really jumping between 5 communities. And if I'm jumping between 5 communities, I don't care about just what's happening within one community. That is what we mean when we say, hey, I'm applying for a grant in community A. Could you also tell me that whatever I have written is better suited as an application for community 3, right? Future of communities should have reputation on-chain, on the go. That's again hey, I have done a good work in, let's say, Bankless. Now, do I have to again prove my worth? Because today you can't really read reputation across communities. Reputation built in one community is only valuable across one. And it's so tough because there are countless number of reputation management tools without the ability of transferring reputation in one chain to the other. Future of communities should essentially have DAO Manager, which is, we call it the smartest community management platform built ever, and I'm going to now talk about features one by one. DAO Manager isn't built in a way. What you see on the screen here is that we have discussions, tasks, bounties, projects, events, proposals, document, courses, grants, and 30 other things, which are modules. Consider it like a socket box, so you have a manager and you can plug in these different modules in it. You want to do task management, plug it in. You want to do courses, plug it in. You want to do partner promotion, plug it in. You don't deal with discussions, take it out. You don't like doing events, take it out. You need all the events of your calendar across your DAO, 30 events that are happening across subpods, visible in one place, show it here. Essentially, we will talk about everything in here one by one, but when we say that you don't ever miss context or everything is linked with everything, just look at the example here. You see this, there is a proposal here saying should start the process of creating new website designs, and there's a vote that's happening here. You see who's voted in, but on that there is linked on-chain proposal. And that linked on-chain proposal is also indirectly linked to a task or a discussion there, right? So you see that there were a bunch of people who commented on it. There are 2 proposals linked to it, 2 tasks linked to it. So you're never really operating in just a silo. You could always be better informed for deciding whether you need to vote or not vote. You have gamification inbuilt, which means, now think of it, right? Like, we all talk about access. I am the best gamer in my community. I have the maximum number of kills. What does that give me? Shouldn't I be having privileges because I probably have maximum XP points? And what essentially DAO Manager does is that we have these things which are pretty standard, which is the number of badges you have earned, which is the number of NFTs you have earned, but that essentially translates to things that you can gate. What that means is that you can go in and look at, hey, people who have a certain reputation only have selected access to certain things. A creator community could give their best creators access to merchandise, for that matter. A DAO could give the best contributors or people who have had the maximum contribution in terms of governance access to certain closed channels, which are like VIP-only channels. Which essentially translates, so this is what I was exactly talking about. When you talk about gating, Discord role gating is pretty standard. NFT gating becomes slightly interesting because we are now talking about, hey, your Bored Ape has a red cap. My Bored Ape also has a red cap. That means we belong in a guild. We belong in a community, and you can basically automate it. You can automate it based on properties of your NFT. You can automate it based on the XP points we just talked about, and you can gate every single thing. You can gate tasks, you can gate discussions, you can gate bounties, you can gate rewards, you can gate whatsoever you want. Reward how much you like, the way you like. We already talked about it, tokens, NFTs, and so on. But what you see on this screen here, on the right, is exactly where a task has been submitted. It's still happening within DAO Manager. And we are switching between desktop and mobile screens because it's operable on both of these devices. But you see there's like an approve submission and then initiate payment. Gnosis is already integrated, so that person never has to really go to Gnosis and say, hey, pay me out for the task that I did. You simply get an approval here, you swipe it through, and the payment goes automatically. You can, in fact, automate it because there are tasks that get verified automatic. Like if you are supposed to post to Twitter and you're supposed to earn certain tokens in lieu of like posting on Twitter, that can be automated as well. Don't take your grants program for granted. We have lately started working with a bunch of collectives for creating a standard for what should the grant management protocol per se be. What that essentially means is I as a contributor am applying for a grant, let's say in L1, and I'm trying to draft it to the best of my capacities, but I may not really know what will help my grant application fly. That is where DAO Manager again comes in and gives you inputs in terms of how should you really draft that application. And on the reviewer end, also because the reviewer is probably getting a zillion applications in their face, all of which look exactly the same, DAO Manager again comes and simplifies or makes it easy for the reviewer to access that much of information. It's built the way for your community. So what you see here is, like I was just talking about, there are n number of modules you can plug in, plug off things, which means you can just switch off discussion channels, you can switch on bounties, and accordingly the UI changes. So DAO Manager deployed in 10 tools can look completely different. Moving on, what we have talked about is like, wow, we talked about proposals, bounties, tasks, and it's a zillion things. So many things that while building it, we ourselves realize that, okay, it's super valuable, but it's getting too much, right? And it's so much of confusion that we wanted to simplify it. And we have been having these discussions of how can we like really add intelligence on top of it, which is why we are presenting Robin, which is a first AI-powered community assistant that has been ever deployed in a DAO. And we are going to give you some demo for it. The way Robin has been deployed is that you interact with your community in a very different way. So we'll now switch over to, this is what exactly the DAO Manager looks like. My friend Yash from behind is controlling the screens, and he's going to give you a live demo of the environment. You see this is a discussion forum. Whatever we just talked about, right? Like now we have switched to the desktop mode. You have n number of things switched on here. There are things that have not been switched on, which is why you don't see things like calendar. You don't see things like grant management for that matter. But in these discussion channels, we are, for now, let's say we're in suggestions. You see there, this is a community forum. On top, there is this Robin prompt saying, hey, key takeaways, write a post to impress the admin of the community. It's just going to give you these cues. Now, when you click on that bar, it's going to like recommend you things that you could do. So it's talking about, hey, key takeaways, write a post to impress the admin of the community, tell me 5 ideas for an engaging post. And it keeps going on and on. Yes, let's make the pick for ideas. It's going to take a while because it's going to go through the data that you have in there. But this thing can be trained for your own server. If you have a Discord, if you have a discourse, we have fortunately been able to come down, like bring down the training time to almost 5 minutes. I'm not going to lie, it was going to take us 3 days to train it for your community, which means if you bring your Discord and your discourse and say, hey, could you deploy it for us? It took us 3 days, but now we are back down to 5 minutes. And it just did, hey, tell me 5 ideas for an engaging post, right? Like now you could simply go, you see these prompts here, it says regenerate, create post, whatsoever. Now when I say create post, it is automatically going to convert the prompt that was done into a post that gets posted into the forum. If I go there, and of course, I could just simply go ahead and post it, but for now, yes, let's select this. Let's select the text, and then you see there is Ask Robin prompt here. Now you see a bunch of other things. It says, hey, you could translate it to German. You could summarize the thing that you have written. You could check the grammar, rephrase it in terms of a project brief, rephrase it in terms of a discussion. You could change the tone. I want to make it sound like formal, serious, shorter. Everything that you see here, it's totally doable. On top, Yash, actually, let's go in and build a checklist. Yes, so a checklist is more on the lines of, I just asked Robin to like build a checklist of tasks that need to be there. And now Robin is working on it. Give it a second. Checklist for using DAO Manager platform. And as soon as you say insert, it's actually going to convert all of it in the form of a task. How cool is that? Because you could totally go into projects, create checklist of stuff, and all of it is super, super, super automated. Now imagine where you could do this. Yash, could you translate once as well? Let's do English to German. I hope. Oh, awesome. So see, you could just replace the text here. You could do German to English as well. You could do a bunch of other things. And on top, let's go back to clearing it. Yes, and this thing that you're seeing, you could post it, Yash. Just go ahead and post it. Awesome. And it's out there. Now you see, this Robin piece is going to be available in every single thing. You're doing a post. You're inserting a comment. You are creating a project brief. You are creating a task. It's going to be available everywhere. Now step back and think for a second you're applying for a grant. You have written an application somewhere. And Robin comes in and says, hey, you know what? I see. So by the way, the thing that you see on the left rail, which is DaoLens, behind that plus button on the very left, that's the first community you are a part of. If you're a part of 7 communities, you will see 7 switchers there. Which means Robin could go in and tell you, hey, I looked at the content of your grant. I know you are a part of these 7 communities. This grant application that you have drafted is very well suited for community number 3. Why don't you go ahead and post it there? And that is where we just see that we're probably like just thought about, it's maybe day 1 of what we think AI could really do within DAOs, because we have been getting so many insights, so many feedback from people around who have been coming to our booths. We are there in the other room. We are showing these demos, deploying it for your community. I'm just going to wrap it up in a minute. Yash, you could like, let's skip through it. Let's go back to the slides for now. Yeah. So next. Awesome. We already talked about how it can be used to manage tasks in your community. In one click, basically, you could do milestones. You could automate things. And we are also now working on Robin to include things like, hey, Robin, pay Vikram. And Robin will actually go in and identify which Vikram you are talking about. And it's going to actually do the task of like initiating that payout for you. Which means on a lot of fronts, Yash, if you go back to the demo, and you can just show that without one click, how you can actually post stuff. He's not going to even touch the keyboard once. Make a comment for the post. I clicked once. Without anything, I'm simply going to post a comment. Now, you're looking at an insane proposal. You have been asked to vote on it. You don't know whether you should vote in favor or against it. You go ask Robin. Robin, simplify it for me. Explain like I'm a 5-year-old, and Robin is going to do that for you. Right? Like Robin AI is available today onwards for every community out there. If you actually want access for it, yes, you can go back to the QR code. Yes, you can simply go and scan this QR code to try DAO Manager. When you try DAO Manager out, You will not have access to Robin AI because we need to like do the training on your data set. But you will see in the DAO Manager, there is this chatbot icon at the bottom right of the screen. You can simply raise a request saying, hey, could you make Robin live for us? Alternatively, drop by our booth in the next room near the bar. We have some free drinks, free fruit for you as well. And we could show you more functionalities of what Robin can do for you. Thank you so very much. Happy to take any questions that are there for now. And Vikram. Yes. I am available at the rate Vix_rum, VIKS_RUM. Yes, Adam. It's always been surprising. ChatGPT was a pleasant surprise, but I wouldn't say we were not expecting it because we had been playing around with the idea of what AI could do for you. Once GPT-3 was launched, we were trying to play around with models, and if you are a part of that OpenAI community where a lot of these discussions happen, you'll realize that there had been enough signals of what was going to happen. It was a surprise because now I have, at least in the city of Denver, I have seen 5 Uber drivers talk about ChatGPT. That has definitely been a surprise for me because I was not expecting it to get that big of an adoption. But in terms of capabilities, I still think we have barely seen anything. Like, there's way more to be done. And in fact, add image recognition and whatnot on top of it. I was just talking to Kamara the other day about Singularity Hack and what they are trying to do. Very excited to take that project into consideration as well and see what we can do together. But I hope that probably, like, that's just my very personal opinion. Any other questions? No? Thank you, folks. Please see us at our booth in the next room. Thank you.